two things that we need to look at when we're talking about inventory in Marion County and inventory in Ocala. We're going to touch upon that today. I'm Glenn Stein, Realty Executives, and hope you're doing well. It's beginning of August 2nd, and it's a Monday, but we're going to cover that inventory stuff in a minute. A couple of things I want to address with you so far, really tracking the inventory, but also tracking what's happening on a weekly basis. Are properties selling faster? How many new properties are coming on the market? One of the complaints people have right now is lack of inventory, but we're going to look at what's coming on the market. And so far this week, last 7 days, and that's what I'm tracking right now, last 7 days, 188 new properties have come on the market. We've seen 116 price increases, which is really interesting, 95 decreases. That's sometimes properties are a little bit overpriced, so people will drop the price down. But we've seen a lot of price increases, which is interesting. 241 closed properties, not too surprising. That's a big number, but not too surprising because that's also including 7 days from prior to August 2nd. That's going to include the end of the month. Most closings will happen at the end of the month. That's when people set things up. 8 expired listings, which basically means the property didn't sell, it was priced too high, something happened, and 277 new pendings. Now, pending is basically when a property goes under contract, meaning it was on the market, it got showings, got offers, and there was a meeting of the minds. Both buyer and seller got together and they agreed upon the terms, not only price, but other terms within the contract. So 277 went under contract. That tells you a lot, right? That's a big number. So things are pretty brisk. We're covering Marion County. Remember, Marion County, for those that don't live in Marion County, may not know this, but it basically just south of Gainesville, Florida, and all the way down to the Villages. Villages is the southern end. A portion of the Village is basically what we call District 4 in the Villages, just south of the VA clinic in Marion County. County Road 42 is the southern end, and it goes all the way from Denellen, County Road 41 on the west, and all the way east, all the way into the Ocala National Forest. So that's kind of almost halfway to Daytona. So a really big area. It's a massive area. I think Marion County is probably the biggest county in Florida, area-wise. And there's about 350,000 plus people in Marion County. And that's grown over the last 20 years, obviously been here since 1995, so I understand it. So two things I want to cover, like I said up top. One, regarding inventory. Let's take a look at the historic count. I'm actually looking at MLS right at the moment. A historic count. If you look at January of 2016, we had 4,900 properties on the marketplace. In 2016, the peak was 5,181 properties on the market. 2017 never reached 5,000, 4,800. Back in March of 17 was the peak. 2018, mostly in the mid fours, meaning 4,729 was the high that year. February of 2018, 4,729 active properties on MLS. 2019, pretty much the same. There was a peak of 4,936 in April of 2019, but then we started to see a pretty substantial decrease in inventory throughout that year, 2019. To give you an example, it went from 4818 in May to 4634 in June, and then went all the way down to 4140 November of 2019 to December 3734. So a big decrease, over 1,200 inventory decrease, less active listings in 2019. Obviously, beginning of 2020, big decrease as well. Well, we saw 3,300 properties on the market, then 3,000 in February of 2020. And of course, that's when COVID hit, like March, 3,000. But, interesting enough, this happened throughout the whole country, and, Ocala and Marion County, no exception, where we saw a big decrease in inventory as well throughout the year. The only exception, the Villages saw something different, and if you're interested in that, I've got a Realty Executives in the Villages YouTube channel, and I talk about that at length. But for the Ocala Marion County market, 2020 saw a big decrease in inventory. So remember this. Middle of 2019, it was 4,900 and 4,800. Middle of 2020, as far as active listings, 2,900 in April of 2020. So literally 2,000 less properties on the market, right? And that's about a 40% decrease in inventory from year to year, and 2,700 properties in May of 2020. The high in 2020 was 3,300, and the low in 2020 as far as inventory, 2,100 homes on the market. So that was the big movement. If you were to look at this, big movement was late 2019, latter part of 2019, 2020, big decreases there. And then 2021, more of the same. So we've seen more of the same as far as an inventory run. And basically what we're looking at is you're talking about 1975 in January of 2021, and then all the way down to 1,500 homes in July of 2021. Pretty much a historic count of active listings. Now, if you look at what's active right now, we're under 1,000 properties. Under 1,000 properties. Wow, big difference, right? Like, right, just over 900 properties on the market active for sale. It's a big deal. It's a big deal. So that's why we're seeing, when we're seeing that sharp of a decrease in inventory, that means there's a high demand. Then we're also seeing a price increase in a big way, big increase in price. The other thing I want to show you that's obviously had an impact. Let's look at the number of sales by year. 2015, we saw actually some ups and downs. We saw 452 closed properties January 15 to 715 in June of 2015. 2016, pretty much the same, a little bit of an increase. Saw 600 to 700 properties that went under contract and closed. Pretty much the same for 2017. 2018, a little bit of an increase. We saw a peak of 825 properties sell August of 2018. And then 2019, once again, we saw a little bit of a bump up as well, where we saw 870 properties, 883 middle of the year in August, right, summertime. And then obviously, 2020, a little bit of an impact there, right? Like there was less properties on the market, like we just talked about. But in 2020, inventory went down, and sales was marginally increased. There wasn't a big increase in 2020. In fact, we saw a drop in sales in May of 2020 because of COVID, and that had to do with the amount of showings. So I mean, it was 526 properties that closed. But, what we're seeing here is that the inventory, the demand did go up a little bit. Inventory went down dramatically, so people were holding on to their homes a little bit more. So it's going to be interesting to see. Just keep watching here. It's going to be interesting to see what happens, moving forward with inventory and number of sales. And I'd like to hear, some of your feedback as well to see what you're thinking about where the market is going. Is it going to increase? Is it going to plateau? Is it going to decrease? What's going to happen? Because lately, what we have seen is we've seen slightly less number of showings over the last several weeks. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens moving forward. Is it because of COVID? Is it because of buyer fatigue? Is it people going on vacations? Right? So what is it exactly we're seeing? That's going to be really interesting. So if you have questions about the Ocala Marion County market, you can catch me here. You can put in a response if you have questions, or you can call me at 352-572-3796, 352-572-3796. Also, you can find us on buymidfl.com. That's actually where, if you're searching for property, buymidflhomes.com rather. Buymid and flhomes.com is where you can search for properties. So with that, Glenn Stein, Realty Executives broker here, and look forward to seeing your comments. Take care.